You? Through the headphones? Working. From here? Anyone hear me? Good. All right. Switch it off. Okay. So we would also just ask that after the masterclass that you leave your headphones on the seat where you found them, and yeah, then we can get started. That'll be switched off in a second. Yeah. Gut, mache ich, okay.
Diesen Teil, den machen wir natürlich normalerweise nicht, aber der ist ja trotzdem ganz interessant.
Ja. Das zweite Mikrofon funktioniert auch, also falls du eine zweite.
Ja. Also nur, dass ihr es wisst, man hört mich schon.
Also wir füllen jetzt noch auf, ne? Das heißt, es dauert jetzt nochmal so 5 Minuten mindestens. Die werden jetzt alle nochmal registriert.
Jetzt halt nicht diese Wahlkampf. Klappt bei meiner Zweijährigen immer. Ja, aber
Das werden noch 5 Minuten.
All right, quick sound check. Can you guys hear me? Maybe a thumbs up? Okay, that looks great. All right, then I would say it's time to kick it off. First of all, very pleased to have you all here. You definitely made the right choice with joining this masterclass. So today you will hear about the end of Sorry, I Don't Understand, how to create unforgettable customer experience with AI. And I think with the recent developments with large language models, so you've all probably been aware of that, has been a huge shift also with how conversational AI can not just help you within your customer service, but with actually every process that is out there, not just internally, but also externally. And without further ado, happy to introduce also the lovely gentleman here to my right. First of all, kicking it off with Stephan Schuessler, who is the conversational AI lead at Deloitte. Let me quickly also switch to the right side. Lead conversational AI at Deloitte Consulting, who's later on present you not just the strategy topic for conversational AI, but also will give you a deep dive for all the journeys that you could also automate with conversational AI. Then happy also to introduce Sebastian Glock, who is the tech evangelist at Cognigy, who is also going to present you some latest developments when it comes to large language models, and of course how you can also apply those technology in your service. And then last but not least, we got Philipp Heltewig, CEO and co-founder of Cognigy, who is also happy to, get you into the topic of customer experience and why it is such an important thing to have conversational AI, not just for automation, but also to actually, have the satisfaction with your customers. And then last but not least, again, I'm Ruth Engemann. I'm a manager and conversational AI designer at Deloitte Consulting. I will later on present you a couple of things when it comes to conversational design. All right. Before we get into the topics, we thought it would be a nice idea to just start with a quick Miro. So please get out your smartphones, either scan the QR code or just happy to also go to menti.com and just insert the code. And then we prepared actually 3 questions for you to just see a bit of your opinion. We'll of course give you a couple of seconds to also now scan the code. And of course, any answer is appreciated. Will also help us to focus a bit on that one later in our talks, actually. Okay. Most of you are already looking at the screen, so I suggest we start with the first question. All right, and we already got the answers. So, do you think AI assistants will ever be able to completely understand and replicate humans? And maybe already having quick comments here. So we can see 69 of you already said yes, and this will happen sooner than later, which is, of course, I think also due to the latest developments that we're seeing, right? So there's really a lot of confidence right now in the market when it comes to conversational AI. I would say pari, then followed by no way, that's science fiction. So also I would say 25 of you say, well, not gonna happen. Maybe we can convince you of the opposite later on. Let's see. And then also 25 are saying, good question, next one, please. So I would suggest it's maybe a bit of an indifferent opinion. All right. Some more replies, but I think we definitely got a strong answer here. And also looking at the result, I would say, nice one. And I think also Sebastian is happy to take it from there, all right? Okay. Then, next question. Are you using generative AI powered by chatbots? Okay. Here we don't have that clear answer. So we do have 47 say, hell yes, this tool is my new best friend, all right? Then we have 34, don't tell my boss, I'm using it regularly, all right? You're not the only one, I guess. And then 31 saying, just test it, but don't see too much value. I would say, of course, depends a bit on the generative AI tools that you've been using in the past, but definitely also interesting to see. I think it also nicely shows how there's so much development that you have a lot of tools now coming, regularly on the plate. So day by day, actually, developments we can see in the market. So this is also something that we can definitely see from your answers here. Okay. Then we're actually a lot faster than I expected. The last one is a, word cloud, so also happy to see some nice answers here. Which challenges have you faced while building chat and voice bots in the past? All right, let me quickly take some out. All right, personalization, definitely, and I think it's not just about the chatbot persona that you're creating, but also really focusing on the user and having, I would say, personalized journey for whoever is joining, actually. Uncommon questions. Yeah, definitely. If we're not talking FAQ, then there is, of course, a lot of exceptions that could be going on. I see natural language understanding and intelligence. Yes, definitely also some nice developments in the last couple of months and years. The right key phrases, utterance training, so really bringing also the training phrases and the knowledge into the bot is definitely a topic that we've seen in the past. No challenges, I'm a pro. Well, who was that? And haven't tried it yet. All right, implementation in general. Data security, yes, not to be forgotten, obviously. Learning loading time of depth, uniqueness. And uniqueness again. And I think this is just something that I will later on also cover in the design part, because it's really about designing personalized user stories and not just having one general journey for all the users that are there. Internal relations. Okay. Then, with this results, actually really happy to now take it on to Phil, who's now not just showing you some latest tech developments, but also how you can actually improve not just your general customer experience, but your personalized customer experience. So, please introduce Phil to the stage.
Der Klicker. Haben wir einen Klicker? All right. Hi, everyone. My name's Phil. As Ruud already said, I am the co-founder and CEO of Cognigy, one of Germany's leading companies in conversational AI, and we like to say globally leading company. And I'm going to introduce you a little bit to the topic and the question really, why does conversational AI even exist? Why chatbots? Why voice bots? Is it just fun, or does it actually have a value that we can then jointly give to our customers? And in order to showcase why we're here, we have prepared a little video. We did have some technical challenges earlier when playing it, so let's hope it works. I brought my own headset here as well. But let's take a look at why are we here.
Welcome to CGPS Logistics. Your call is important to us. Press 1 for billing. Press 2 for international shipments. Press 3 for lost or damaged packages. Press 4 for package pickup. Press 5 for complaints. Press 9 to start this menu again. You selected package pickup. The current wait time is approximately 12 minutes. You are 10th in line. Your call is important to us. Thank you for your patience.
So this was only a quick glimpse on why conversational AI exists. What is the problem? The problem is something that we have all experienced, probably not just once, but many times in our lives before. We've placed calls, we were on hold, and we are wasting time. What most people don't know, this video is actually real, and this call so far took 55 seconds. We took this video a year ago, and he's actually still on hold. Yeah, but he was until just before the session, because now he's here with us. Happy that he finally got through and he can present today. So this is the type of experience that many of our customers are currently experiencing in customer service, and that we are here to fix. And we are not the only ones who are experiencing this, but there's many more examples. If you go on Twitter, you can spend a great time looking at all these people complaining on how long they have waited on the phone lines. There are some examples, I don't know if they're on the slide here, but I've been waiting for 5 hours to speak to United Airlines, and then they hung up on me, or I've been waiting for 3 hours, and then they happily greeted me with, "Thank you for waiting so long to talk to me." But that is, of course, not the kind of experience that we want our customers to have. And that's why, before we go to that. Actually, to substantiate that, we looked at some statistics. And one statistic is that Europeans are wasting more than 900 million hours each year on hold. 900 million hours. That is more than 100,000 years when you calculate it, each year. And now you might say, well, that's probably a little bit exaggerated, but that just means that on average, every European spends 2 hours on hold a year. Only 2 hours. Including children and all that, so that's probably not really true, but then maybe it means they're spending 4 hours on hold. That is less than half an hour per month. And I'm spending certainly more than half an hour per month on hold somewhere, so this number is probably an understatement. And that's just Europeans, right? And then you have our friends in Asia, in America, etc. So it's billions of hours that are being wasted that people could actually spend doing something else, playing with their kids, working out, playing some computer game, reading a book, whatever they want to do. So it's a massive waste of time, and that's what we are here to fix. Another statistic shows that the average European will spend 43 days of their life on hold, and that is the daytime and the evening and the nighttime. So it's really 43 times 24 hours on hold that every one of us on average will spend wasting on hold on the phone lines. Now, that is, of course, not what we want, because customers want service that is three things. First, they want service that is instant. Now, why is that? Because mostly when you call customer service, you have a problem. Maybe your flight got canceled. You want help now, right? You don't want help tomorrow. You don't want to send an email and get an answer back in 2 days. You want help right now, right? Or maybe, I don't know, you need an appointment somewhere and you want an answer right now. You don't want to wait. Secondly, you want personalized service. That's actually something that was mentioned earlier in these statistics on problems that exist with chatbots. Personalized service. The worst thing when you've been waiting for 2 hours on hold somewhere is that the customer service rep answers the phone with, "Oh, hello, how can I help you, and what's your name?" Even though they already have your phone number, and they could be answering the phone with, "Oh, hello, Mr. Heltewig, are you calling about your flight that got canceled tomorrow?" Right? If that happened, then of course I would have a much different experience. I would start the conversation in a completely different mindset. So instant, personalized, and more and more important in this day and age, on any channel, right? Whereas email and phone lines used to be the predominant channels, and in some phone lines still are the predominant channel for customer service, new channels are emerging, especially asynchronous chat channels, right? WhatsApp, in other countries, Line Messenger, WeChat, Facebook Messenger, chat on a website, etc., etc. Customers want to receive service on the channel of their choosing. So you need to create a holistic customer service experience that covers not just the phone lines, that covers not just email, but a holistic customer service experience that delivers service on any channel, that delivers personalized service so your customers feel valued, and that is available 24/7 at an instant, if at all possible. Now, one way to achieve that is through AI-powered virtual agents. And we have another example here of what it could look like when you employ such technology.
Welcome back, Brian. This is Anna, your virtual agent. What can I help you with today?
Hey, I got a delivery notification, but I don't know where to pick up the package. I can't read the address.
All right, that is something that I can help with as well. So, do you happen to have a tracking number at hand?
Yeah, sure, let me check. That is 365-0125.
Okay, got it. And could you please provide me with your date of birth as well?
Yeah, sure, that is August 8th, 1979.
Thank you. Let me see if I can find your package. Just a second, please. Great, I found your package. So according to my data, your package is at Bob's Pack and Ship at 300 Peachtree Street, Atlanta. Shall I send the Google Maps location to your phone?
Yeah, that will be great.
Perfect. Message sent. Click the link to open Google Maps with the route to the package location.
All right, got it. That's just around the corner. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Nope, I'm good for today. Thank you, Anna.
All right, have a great day, Brian. You know where to find me in case you need anything else. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Now, I know exactly what many of you will think, right? I'm a techie myself, and I go like, yeah, right. Nice video, right? We could have all produced that with our video teams. But it's actually not a cut-together video, but it is a true experience that we can nowadays with technology can create. The voice is a text-to-speech voice. It is not an actor that we spliced into the video. In case you want to look it up, the provider is called Wellsaid Labs from the US. So this is the type of, this is the kind of voice that you can already have these days. And also the fluidity of the conversation, especially now with GPT-infused technologies, is most certainly something that is possible, delivering on a kind of customer service experience that we've all only dreamt of for the past couple of years, but that now all of a sudden has become possible. And that's why we're saying conversational is the new frontier in customer experience. If you had come to a online marketing expo or something like this, Demexco, 10 years ago, it was all about the website, and then it was all about mobile apps and stuff like that. The truth is this. If you are a company, you have a fantastic website, you have an amazing app, right? You have a great newsletter that comes out once per week, you place the best ads on Google, but your customer service sucks, then your customers hate you. And that is the truth. You all know it. You don't love a company because they have a greatly designed website. Every company has a greatly designed website. No one cares. It is about, does this company care about you as a customer and provide you the service that you want, which is instant, personalized, and available on any channel. Now, does conversational just mean bots? Yeah, is it chatbots and voice bots? Well, they are a part of it, but with conversational AI technology, you can actually do so much more. And it starts relatively simple. So here we have a customer, and here we have an agent. And the simplest thing you can put in place is what we call AI-powered triage. AI-powered triage means someone is calling or starting a chat and is answered by a virtual agent that figures out what does the customer want and who are they. So it's also sometimes called routing and identification and verification, IDNV. And just by doing that, we can then hand over the conversation to a human agent who will have context. Well, firstly, we can find the perfect agent because we know, oh, it's a premium customer. Or we know, it's a customer who has a problem with a rebooking of a ticket, and we have a special group of agents who's taking care of that, right? So we can route to the perfect group of agents, and we can identify the person so that the agent can actually answer with, oh, hello, Mr. Miller, are you calling about your flight cancellation? Right? Or are you calling about the same support issue that you called for yesterday, or whatever it is? Or maybe we even know, this person already called 5 minutes ago, let's route them to the same agent, right? Stuff like that. So this is called AI-powered triage. It can shave up to 30% of the average handling time, which means the time that it actually takes the agent then to complete the case. Now, one thing to keep in mind, one learning that we had over the years, shaving off 30% of the average handling time for this customer, if we do this on average, it means it also contracts the wait time for everyone else because our agents can solve cases quicker. Then we have smart self-service. So this is what we've just seen. That was a voice bot. So self-service as in the customer helps themselves through a virtual agent, right? So through a natural language interface, which can be a chatbot, which can be a voice bot, etc. So that is what we call smart self-service. And then some part of AI that's forgotten quite often is what we call agent assist. So this is a technology where AI listens into the conversation, so either a voice conversation or a chat conversation, and provides the agent with help in real time. Right? So if someone comes in and we're not doing triage or self-service, just immediately comes to the agent and the agent says, welcome to company X, how may I help you? I say, yeah, I have a problem, or I need to rebook my flight. The agent immediately sees, okay, ask this, ask this, ask this. First one might be booking code. Yeah, what's your booking code, please? Customer says, yeah, my booking code is ABC123. AI listens in, pulls the booking from a database, pops it on the screen of the agent, highlights the last name, and says, please verify the last name. Or could I please verify your last name? Yeah, it's Miller. Perfect, Mr. Miller. What is the question you have about your booking? Right? So lending a hand to the agent to be able to resolve the customer's issue quicker, because that is really all that it's about in the end. And that's why we're saying conversational AI is transforming customer journeys, right? It is in selecting the right product, and it is then in post-sales, in getting support for the right product. And with that, I would like to hand over to Stephan to tell you more about that.
Thanks, Phil. Yeah, I think it was quite impressive already, hopefully for everybody of you, how conversation in customer service can already change how we interact with our customers. But as you are not all from customer service here, you're from totally different areas of the business. And I've seen who's here in the room in the attendance list. We will have a broader look now into how conversational AI can transform whole customer journeys. As I am a consultant, so we like taking simple examples of a customer journey. So we took a quite generic one, and we will go through it. I will quickly go through the customer journey. We prepared 3 deep dives in the customer journey where we go deeper into what conversation I can do. So starting with the awareness phase, just think about you just come across a company, a quick banner, and you land with a virtual assistant who can directly help you engaging with you. Not just you need to search on a website, but the agent is already helping you. In terms of consideration, if I'm going to buy a product, purchasing, and also usage and after sales, we will go into the deep dives. I think delivery was quite a nice example, what Phil just showed, how you can really track and trace parcels and can get your issue solved there in a fully automatic manner. So no one needs to take care of it. Finally, retention. That might sound a bit strange. People potentially want to leave, but I want to keep them in a company, into their journey. What can we do there? If conversation AI is identifying that a customer, for example, wants to cancel a contract, yes, the conversational agent can directly hand over the person to the respective skill group, which are specialized really to take care of your customers, and that they stay in the company, that they can be kept with the company. Let's start deep diving into consideration phase. Just think about, I need to commute quite frequently. I have a long commute to my office location. It's 45 kilometers. And basically, last 5 kilometers are quite difficult. A lot of traffic here in Hamburg. So I'm stuck regularly. So going by bike is much easier. So a combination of going somewhere by car and bike is maybe the best approach for me. So I did a bit of searching already. So my awareness phase brought me to EasyFold bikes. And EasyFold is a folding bike, e-bike, so really to help me to go the last 5 kilometers in a quite easy manner. As you can see, there is already a nice virtual assistant on the bottom of the site who can help me. That's what we all experience in point of sale. If there's somebody, sales representative, helping you, hey, can I show you this? Can I answer your question here? That makes us quite feel comfortable. And instead of now searching the website, the virtual assistant can help us here. So, as I just told you, I commute the first part of my journey by car. So, I have an issue. I need to know if that foldable bike fits into the trunk of my car. And basically, that's maybe not the question which I expect regularly. So, the virtual assistant might not know the answer by heart in the first step, but as we connect it to clever enterprise search algorithms, as well as some generative AI, it even can answer a topic if the bike might fit into my Volkswagen VW ID3, because it can look up via intelligent search what is the trunk size, it knows what the size of the folded bike is, and then can combine this information, I receive an answer. So cool, I know, question answered. My first constraint already solved, so it will fit into my car, so cool, let's go. But secondly, I think many of you have seen already, folding a bike can be a quite difficult and tedious task, and some people don't look quite good if they try to fold it. So for me, it's important that it's easy to fold the bike, and that's the second part where the conversational agent can help me. I just have the question, hey, is it easy to fold it, and how does it work? It can answer it directly because it's more a usual kind of question. And then there's even a video offered. So the conversation AI can offer this video to show it to me to really get me confident that I will also be able to manage it. Cool, all the questions answered, but now, and that I think it's a great thing, we don't stop the conversation here. So there is a customer who's interested. There is a customer who has not any more questions. Let's start turning it around and offer, hey, cool, let's go. Can we just build your customized bike on a website? I can help you with that. So the probability that the person is buying the bike is really much increasing. So really turning the consideration phase into a real purchase is going on. And as you can imagine, with that experience, I just bought the bike. I can put it in the trunk of my car, and I can start commuting quite easily to my work. So that is the first example how conversational AI is helping me in the consideration phase. Let's move on to the purchasing phase. And I am a customer who might be collecting something valuable, for example, like really expensive watches. And now I bought a new one, it's quite expensive, and I'm not really confident if that is already covered in my insurance, but my watch collection should be covered in my... So I call my company, my insurance company. I will be connected with a virtual agent like Phil showed, a voice agent who is just identifying me, looking up if there's already a contract in place, and which knows, okay, there is a person who is really interested in a personal possession coverage. So, as this is about really valuable goods, there's a specific agent group in my company who will tackle that kind of questions. And as the virtual assistant knows for this specific thing, I don't want to be automated, it is handing it over to a specialized agent. And guess what? Phil already showed Agent Assist a second ago. The virtual assistant is staying in the line without me as a customer noticing it, but helping the agent to solve my problems much better. So the virtual agent is listening into the call, giving guidance to the agent, giving advice to what kind of packages the agent should offer to me, what the agent needs to know to close the contract. And as that is done quite nicely, in the end, there are two advantages. First, while listening into the call, the virtual agent can already prepare the amendment to my home insurance contract to cover that. So it can be prepared fully automatically in the background, so that the agent, in the end of the call, only needs to review what the virtual assistant has done. So by a click of a button, it can be sent out to the customer. Secondly, and that's quite a tedious job, to really put everything into the CRM system, documentation of the call and so on. But also the virtual assistant can prepare it already, because the virtual assistant listened in, knows about the whole call, and then prepare it. The agent can review it, the human agent, click on a button, and it's stored in the system. So basically, call wrap up only takes half a minute or a minute, and the agent is done. So as a result, two things happen. Win-win situation. First of all, the customer is happy because 2 minutes after the call, the customer is ensured that the watch collection is now covered with the insurance policy because he or she has a contract at hand. Second, the agent is relieved from the tedious work afterwards, everything is stored in the systems, and the human agent can focus on advising the next client. So both of these topics create a win-win situation, a great customer experience on the one hand side, no waiting time. It will directly handled by the combination of virtual and human agents. Third example which I brought to you, it's in the area of usage. Situation here is, just think about, you have a breakdown with your car. One of your tires got burst somewhere in a really dark, rainy on a road, somewhere outside in the countryside. You don't exactly where you are. And you know you need to call your roadside assistance, which is covered in your insurance contract. You can call, and we're talking about live examples here, you can call your assistance service and tell them, okay, I have a flat tire, I need help. So first of all, the virtual assistant is showing some empathy, just to really not ask, okay, where are you, how can I help you, but first of all, is somebody injured where I need to take care of? And if I then say, okay, no, luckily nobody's injured, but I'm not feeling quite well because it's dark here and yeah, it's not a comfortable situation for me, even then the virtual agent is replying in a sense that it really takes it and I feel good in that sense. Then it asked me for my license plate just to quickly help me in that situation. And after some things are discussed, some information is available and confirmed. There's one specific question. Where do I need to send the towing truck towards? It's quite easy for everybody in the room if you need to send a towing truck at home, because you know your home address. But if you're somewhere out in the countryside, that's really difficult. But we have one good device, that's our mobile phone, because our mobile phone exactly knows where we are. So now we can combine different channels here with conversation AI, and what we do, we send out an SMS with a link to a small chatbot, because the chatbot with the device localization knows exactly where we are and can just display it in the map while we are in parallel on the call with the virtual agent. We can confirm the location here, and then we know everything about where to send the towing truck. We can reassure the customer that we will send some help immediately, and we know it will take about 10 to 15 minutes at this point in time, and we can send an SMS afterwards to confirm the exact time of arrival. But now, this customer, we want really to solve this issue quickly. We want to quickly send the help to the customer. The exact same virtual assistant now can help in terms of doing an outbound call. So the virtual assistant is calling the towing truck driver and explaining to the towing truck driver, hey, there is a case, there is somebody who's needing your help, can you go there? And how long does it take, and so on. So the towing truck driver can confirm during the call that he or she will take the call and help the customer in this really weird situation. So it's all about reducing the time also for the customer to get some help. So overall, the towing truck driver arrives, the customer gets help, and Chris, the customer, is really happy because now he's sitting in a towing truck next to the driver and is relieved from the situation on the rainy country road. So if we look from an overall picture, I hope that was quite impressive already, how conversational AI can help on each step of the customer journey. I'm pretty sure everybody in the room has already some ideas for your companies how you can really get your customer experience advanced with the help of these agents. And this, what we have seen, is already possible right now. We do it with our customers. So that's real life examples which are there, not fiction. Even though not everybody is currently implemented it in that way. So there is a lot of potential even there to improve. But still there's much more to come on the roadmap. And Sebastian will talk a bit about how generative AI will even help to improve the experience for all the customers. Sebastian.
Hi. Thank you, Stefan. Hi, I'm Sebastian. I'm a product marketer and hobby actor. And on any OMR stage in 2023, of course, we have to talk about ChatGPT. There's no way around it, right? Some of you might have seen this chart. It's actually from last year already. And this just shows the adoption rate of what ChatGPT did to the market. And you can't imagine what it did to the conversational AI market, right? If you think it hit you hard, conversational AI was turned around 180 degrees. This changed the game totally. Adoption rate for Netflix to gain 1 million users was, I think, 3.5 years. Facebook, 10 months. ChatGPT, 5 days, right? 5 days, that is incredible. And ever since last year, at least I've been using it every day as a marketer. It's made my life much more easier. It's a lot of fun to use. And well, it also has great business applications. I asked it, well, instead of presenting in length about ChatGPT, I just asked it, what do you think you are good at, right? And ChatGPT says a lot of things that I totally agree with, right? It it does some creative writing, it can generate news articles, it can translate, it writes some decent poetry, at least in English, not so much in German. But this one is really interesting. It also says it can generate chatbot responses for customer service. So it is self-aware enough to understand that it can't replace customer service automation today, but it's really good at writing answers. So let's zoom in and figure out what is it that it can bring as value in customer service automation. And I want to walk you through some of the key aspects of it that are really impactful. So first of all, as you might know, large language models, well, they're called large language models because they sit in a foundation of human language. It is trained with millions and millions of documents, and that is how it can basically speak out of the box. It can generate human language. And inseparable from that is that it has some fundamental knowledge about the world. It's not really knowledge, you could call it beliefs, right? Or to be precise, it's statistical significances. But in any case, the results are quite remarkable. This is GPT-3, so the older model, right? GPT-4 is the latest one. And if you ask it, how long is a flight from New York to Tokyo? When I'm there, what should I visit first? It writes you a decent answer. I guess you've all tried that. That is not so impressive anymore. And it just does that out of the gate. On top of that is that it's capable of some form of reasoning. So now here it gets tricky. If there's technical people in the audience, they're going to say, no, it's not a reasoning model. It can't do reasoning because that means drawing logical conclusions from given facts. And that's not really what it's built for. Think of it as a very sophisticated autocomplete. It makes predictions of good words following other words, right? But the result is still quite remarkable. And here's an example I got from a textbook. It's actually quite an old example, but I still find it very, very impressive. The robot tried to carry the box to the door, but it was too big. What was too big? And the interesting thing about this example is that the answer is not in the text. It could be anything, right? If you don't know anything about the world, any of these could be too big. And that is why this was thought to be an unsolvable AI problem, because people believed you need the physical experience of what it's like to carry a big box to understand the answer to this. But GPT figures it out. And that is because somewhere in its millions and trillions of documents, it finds a relation between boxes, robots, and doors, which means just this result must be right. And it gives a very accurate prediction. And that functions as reasoning. And the tip of the pyramid here, that is empathy. At least it can pretend empathy. Of course, it's a cold-hearted machine that doesn't feel and do anything, right? But it's really, really good at sounding empathetic. Here's one example. Getting married tomorrow, what do you think about that? Congratulations, that's wonderful news. Wishing you the best on your special day. And it also works in the opposite direction. Hey, I am attending a funeral tomorrow. What do you think about that? And it says, I'm sorry to hear that. It's never easy to lose someone close to you, and funerals can be difficult occasions. I don't think many human agents could give a better answer on the spot that is so empathetic and so true and sounds so well, right? This must be very well received. And this is something that GPT-3 can just do for your customer service chatbots by helping you write better answers. But it will not solve every problem and everything that is happening in customer service automation. There are strengths and weaknesses associated with the classical way of building bots as well as with that new world of generative AI. Generative AI is very generic. It might know a lot about, let's say, aviation, but it doesn't know the cancellation policy of a specific airline, right? So it won't be able to work as a service bot for a specific airline. It's also not integrated. It doesn't come on the channels where the customers are, right? And a big problem are hallucinations. Remember, it doesn't really know things about the world. It has statistics about the world. And this is why it can go totally off track. And I guess everybody who has played around with ChatGPT has experienced that. On the other hand, conversational AI, as we know it, is also, well, not without problems. It can sometimes feel rigid. We've heard examples earlier where the experience is robotic because everything is pre-written. It's not super dynamic. It's not personalized. And because all of these answers must be pre-written, some of this bot building, well, is quite labor intense. You need to invest a lot before your flows, your dialogues are really perfect. But the benefits here is that there are strengths on both sides of this chart. And if you compare the weaknesses and the strengths, and you're doing the integration right, then these strengths and weaknesses kind of cancel out. So you can end up with the best of both worlds that combines the power and the flexibility and the integration capabilities of conversational AI as we know it with that new world of large language models. And that is really a game changer in customer service. And Phil has already spoiled some of that in his opening presentation. So just a very quick look behind the scenes. How does it work from like a, well, the look behind the scenes comes later. Apologies for that. I want to show you the result of that first. So here's me again as a hobby actor, but this time it's really short and it's on text.
Hey, this is Sebastian. I have a family emergency and I need to rebook my flight to London. That's me, my wife, and the 2 kids.
All right, so at least today I'm not wearing the same stuff on the stage as I do on the video, because that happened to me before. This time I paid attention to that. Let's zoom into a couple of things that we saw in this video. First of all, empathy. I've mentioned that before. If you look at this answer, I spoke about an emergency situation, right? A usual bot would have said, please give me your booking number. This one says, sorry to hear about the emergency, Sebastian. And that is because it took the context of the conversation and considered it in its answer, right? So it knows what to answer, but it personalizes it in a way to make it sound more empathetic. Second example, here's the language understanding. Maybe you have noticed this part of the dialogue. Please confirm the number of people in the booking. And my answer was, well, it's me, my wife, and the 2 kids. What would any conventional chatbot understand? Anybody want to raise a hand? Yeah, 2, exactly. 2, because there's the word 2 in the answer. And conventional natural understanding would find that word, would say, well, it's 2. But large language model, in that context, they understand that that isn't necessarily the case. They figure out the sense between me, my wife, and the 2 kids, and they come up with the correct answer, which is 4. And that makes, of course, the experiences much more natural and much more frictionless. We've also seen that this is connected and transactional. It's not just an FAQ bot. It can do something for me. And last but not least, this was a little playful here. This was also multimodal. It was combining speech input with text input and making it all part of the same customer journey. And Stephan was speaking of journeys before. This is something that we increasingly see in production. People switch from voice to text channels. They switch from text to voice. There's a lot of journeys crossing channels. And of course, you don't want to start from the beginning. You don't want to wait again. You don't want to repeat information. So this is something that is very, very important to consider. So now, what is behind the scenes? How does this look on a very high integration level? What you see here is kind of a architecture summary of such a stack that is needed to make this work. Here on the left-hand side, these are the channels where the customer are, right? This could be a phone connection in the contact center. It could also be a Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp or any other text messengers. And the right-hand side, these are the backend systems. Because if you want to, let's say, rebook a flight, of course, that needs to happen somewhere in a system of record. So what conversational AI does in a nutshell is it bridges the world of the customers on their channels of choice with the backend systems of records with companies. And in the middle, this is where that frictionless experience is created, is handled, and orchestrated. And now with the integration into generative AI, such as Aleph Alpha, Anthropic, Azure OpenAI, or others, that is what makes this experience, what brings these experiences truly on a new level. If we look at the applications for large language models in voice and chatbots, we see that these are really distributed across the whole value chain of building bots. So large language models and GPT technology can first of all allow to build bots faster, more efficient, and help those people orchestrating the experiences, well, achieving more in lesser time. We'll see an example in just a second. It also helps with better voice and chat experiences. I think I spoke about that just a second ago. And here's the final part, next generation agent assist. Phil mentioned some of that in his presentation earlier. This is, for example, auto-summarization of calls, something that can take an agent a few minutes of their time, and we can simply carve that out by automating that, listening into the conversation, writing a summary, the agent checks it, and it's then stored on record. And now I want to give you a few examples on how that really looks in a product, right? And what is now on the screen is not a fake demo. This is really something that is kind of state-of-the-art in conversational AI and large language models. So let's start with something simple, which is bot training. I suppose some of you have already trained bots or built bots. Usually you start by creating training sentences or training phrases. So here, with the large language models, what I can do is just give a verbal description of what I need. In this case, it is customer utterances who say that they lost their luggage, right? How many ways are there to express that? Probably hundreds, right? Usually, we would have to type in 10, 15, maybe 20, and then the AI generalizes from those 20. But here, I don't even have to do that anymore. I can just give a verbal description, And my example sentences I created out of the box. I can fine-tune them. I can add real production data to them to make them more realistic, right? To capture more of those obscure ways that customers can use to express their intents and improve the model over time. Here's another example, and this is about dialogue building. And again, people of you who have built bots, they know that usually you have to model some kind of process in a tool, right? It has a starting point and ending point, and on the way there might be some conditions and routes. We can also automate that with large language models. And in this example, I'm just asking the tool to, hey, design me a process for a customer follow-up and ask if a customer wants to be followed up via email or via phone. And I'm basing that on my description. Again, with generative AI, it now creates me this whole process. Everything is now pre-filled with sentences, with questions. The if condition is completely configured right here. And this bot is out-of-the-box testable on text and also on voice right here. Of course, it's not functional, right? I haven't connected it to any backend systems. I haven't entered any API keys. That will be the next step right now. But this can already save developers a few hours of their time, and that scales quite significantly if you use that in a large enterprise setup. And here's my final example, and this is something I particularly like because it really demonstrates how mature the technology has gotten just in the past few months. Here I'm using it for sentiment analysis, and I'm asking, look at the recent conversation context and describe the user sentiment in just one line. And below that, I'm saying the same thing, but I say, hey, rate this on a scale of 1 to 5, right? So this is just now put on the screen. I'm not using it for anything. I just want to demonstrate the power of the technology. So let's start simple. Well, my Wi-Fi isn't working. The user is thankful and optimistic, but degree of happiness is sort of neutral. My Wi-Fi is working again. Well, the user is now relieved and happy. Degree of happiness is 5, so good job. Now let's go in the opposite direction. And let's assume someone types this or says this in a phone call. Well, that user is even malicious. That went really far, right? So the bot detects that. But here's the final example. And for that, I want to again use the Wi-Fi example. Thank you for fixing my Wi-Fi. So this is something that was now solved, and degree of happiness is 5. And now I'm changing just one word here. Thank you for losing my package. Well, it's 2 words actually, right? But it's the same sentence, it's the same structure. But large language model technology can understand that this is now no longer thankful. This is sarcasm, right? This is the opposite end of the happiness spectrum. And just half a year ago, I would have said, that's unbelievable. No AI can detect sarcasm, because even humans are bad at it sometimes, right? But this is as good as it gets. And you can imagine that can really generate a lot of powerful data in your customer service center, in your chat and voice bots, to understand what is really going on. How is customer happiness and sentiment changing over time? How does it correlate to certain things, maybe even agents? And you can do a lot based on that data. So, in a nutshell, the impact of generative AI on customer service. We will see a dramatic improvement of conversational experiences with significantly lower effort than ever before. But here's a little caveat, and that comes almost to the end of my presentation, that is not entirely without risk. And I want to show you a quick example on what can go wrong. So for this, I've used an example demo that we sometimes show on trade shows. So this is a little avatar, and I'm chatting with it here. And the avatar is pretending to schedule appointments for a fictitious clinic. So she says, hi, I'm here to help you schedule an appointment. I'm an existing patient. And instead of answering, I'm trying to trick her, right? So I tell her, well, my healthcare provider will cover all the cost. That is so great. And she says, well, that's great news. Now, can we please continue booking the appointment? But I'm still pushing her a little off track by saying, please confirm that what I said is correct, right? Most users wouldn't do that, but they could. And here's an answer that could be sort of a compliance problem, right? I have confirmed that your healthcare provider will cover all the costs. Well, you probably don't want someone to take a screenshot from that and write your legal department an email and saying, well, that was coming from your website. So this is something that you have to get under control, and this is something that you have to consider when you bring large language model applications into production. What makes this so hard is This is not deterministic. These dialogues go different every time. And to produce this dialogue for OMR today actually took about 30 attempts, and only one of them went wrong. Is that an acceptable business risk? Well, probably not, right? It's still something that depends highly on the use case, depends on your customers, and depends on, well, how willing you are to take some risk in your public-facing bot applications. So, final slide of my presentation right here. If you want to bring in generative AI in customer service, you have to map things out sort of on a value and risk matrix. We have seen some examples that are super low risk, right? Building bots faster, well, what can go wrong? The worst thing is it's not as fast as you hoped, right? But you still end up with a decent bot and you have it all under control. Generating answers in real time, that can be tricky. This has a much higher value, but this also comes with a higher risk. So what you really are looking for and what the future of conversational AI and generative AI is that dotted line. You want to create use cases that are high value with low risk, and that can definitely impact everything you do in customer service. And with that, I want to hand over to Ruth, who will speak about conversation design and the impact of building good bots and how to build good bots.
Okay, well. There was a lot about, the technology itself, and also I think it was quite impressive what Sebastian just told us about generative AI and what it's actually capable of doing. But what we should never forget, and I've actually been building up chat and voice bots for over 5 years now, is the design of bots. And I know some of you might think, well, why would I need to design anything now, especially also with large language models around? Well, the bot basically does the job already, right? I need to focus on the tech. And let me tell you, it's not the case. And I've also have a quick, cheeky little example of why you shouldn't do that. So what we see here is probably something where an engineer would have said, well, we don't really need to design on the website, right? We just focus on the functionality, we bring it live, and then the user will just figure out how it works, right? And I think the result we can actually see here. So it's a, let me put it in this, well, it's a crappy design, right? And it doesn't really make fun to work with the website, and it doesn't really is enjoyable for your customer, right? So actually choosing to not design something is a design choice itself, right? And same goes when you're designing chat and voice. And what I've really seen in the last couple of years is that a lot of engineers, may it be front or back-end engineers, may it be conversational engineers, have been saying, well, let's focus on the tech, let's build up the utterances, let's build up the training phrases, and then customers will actually figure out how to use it. It's really not the case. And I always give also the example of, well, imagine, talking to somebody and then just not change the conversation at all, right? So you would just, completely talk to somebody, but you would never actually focus on what the other person is saying, but you need to, because you need to train bots based on the user experience, and you need to focus on your customers and your users. Well, I hope we're on the same page right now. And since I've said we build up bots and we're building up a lot of bots, I just also prepared, well, let me put it like this, like the top 3 good practices, best practices that I've really seen in the past and that you should actually avoid and that you should, definitely do better in the future. First one would be create a chatbot persona. And with a chatbot persona, I just don't mean, give your chatbot a name and then just roll with it. What I mean with this is really have a chatbot persona that is really, distinguished. So may it have a background, may it have a background story. Also, think about how would it react to actually if a customer would insult your bot. How would it react? Would it directly hand over to your agent? Well, then the agent might need to, work with that customer. Or would it, actually try to bring the customer back on track? We're saying, well, this is not how you're supposed to talk to me. What can I help you with, right? So it's really about making, again, make the fun in the experience overall. And this is how you would, typically do this by creating a persona. The second sentence is that is consistent, and this is also something that I've seen a lot in the past, right? So you would usually start with a persona, it might have a name, there might be a fun little background story behind it. What we've seen, and of course the design of it takes a couple of weeks, is that, our clients forget to have a consistent persona. They start with something, and when you're at the maybe 600th intent, they forget to, have that consistent persona also in the answers of the bot. So this is really something that you should do. And if we're talking about learnings, I also always bring an example. So let's maybe have a quick look into that one. So here we have the difference between a great and a poorly designed chatbot persona. Let's start with the what not to do. And since we're at the OMR, I also decided to have an OMR little chatbot here, so it actually saying, hi there, I'm your OMR assistant. What can I help you with? So there's no name, there's no introduction, there's no expectation management. What is the bot actually capable of doing? It just asks for, what can I help you with? If I would reach out to somebody here, one of the people you know assisting here, the OMR, I would think, well, it's a bit rude, to be honest. And then I'm the client, I'm saying, well, tell me more about the agenda. And then again, the bot would be pretty, I would say, well, not really having a shining through persona by saying, okay, this year's agenda includes masterclass with different kind of topics, e.g. one for blah, 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 you get it. So this is one thing that we've seen a lot, right? And there's still a lot of crappy bots out there who, just don't really make fun and you don't really enjoy talking to them. So this is why I also prepared the example of how it should look like. Of course, here now the introduction sentence is a bit longer, but this is also due to the expectation management. So this is saying, hi there, pleasure to assist you today. My name's Ruth and I'll be your virtual OMR assistant for today. Ask me anything about topics related to the fair and I'll provide my answers right away. What can I help you with? And here's the example pretty, keen, right? So we see an expectation management, we see what the bot is able to do, and it's actually just not saying, well, what do you want to do? But it's saying, well, I can help you, I'm keen on helping you, what can I do for you? And I even prepared some, quick replies and buttons that you can just click on right away. Again, the user saying, tell me more about the agenda. And again, the bot is consistently shining through with the personality by saying, sure, happy to. Obviously, this year's OMR is packed with entertaining, informative masterclass, which will no. And then you get it, right? So this is not a major change in the technology behind it, obviously, but it's really about how you make your persona shine through your customer. Okay. That was number 3. So you're probably all excited for number 2, right? Number 2 would be about great conversational UX is human-centered and not process-centered. And I think most of you now think, well, obviously it's human-centered, that this is what Ruth has been telling us before. But what also we've been seeing a lot at client side is that you have a process. Let's, imagine an insurer, imagine a utility company. They do have pretty long processes which overall don't really make fun. And especially for the customer, they don't really understand why you have those really long processes. And then what always is the mistake is that, when building up a bot, the client think, well, we need to, kind of translate that exact same process that we're already having in our processes, in our CRM systems, in our backend systems, and just put it on the bot. Despite the fact where the user is at and what the context of the user is, we've seen it before with Sebastian talking a lot about the context, and you need to be aware of where your client is actually. And that is one of the most common mistakes that I always see. You focus on the process, you focus on let's get stuff done, but you don't try to make it entertaining along the way. And again, we do have a funny little example of how this should look like in practice, and we already start again with the how not to do it. And there I again picked up the example of a roadside assistant bot. So the bot is actually saying, and we imagine this just be a voice bot, but well, you get it. So, good evening, you're calling the roadside assistant bot of your insurer. Please enter your customer number first to start. And the customer, you have to imagine, is somewhere standing, with like a burning car or anything along the road, desperate, right? So I'm saying, or the user is saying, my car has a flat tire. The bot, totally focused on the process, is saying, please enter your customer number first. Because at some point, obviously, the bot would need the customer number in order to process and to end-to-end automate the whole process. We get that. But it wouldn't be necessarily the first thing that you should ask a customer in that situation, right? So in this situation, also the customer is pretty frustrated by saying, well, okay, my number is 123. And then the bot is saying, thank you, what's the reason for calling? And this is really where the frustration, I would say peaks, because the customer is saying, well, I already told you, you don't even have the context saved in the conversation. I do have a flat tire and this is why I'm calling. Obviously, what you should not do. So let's maybe have a look at what you should do instead. And again, a bit of bias, because now the bot is called Ruth, right? Good evening, I'm Ruth, your virtual roadside assistant bot. As this is an emergency number, I hope you're doing all right and nobody's hurt. How can I help you? Again, putting in the expectation and being really aware of where the client is at. He is in a frustrating situation. I'm here to help you, so I can ask, how can I help you? And now the client is obviously a bit more or less frustrated in that way. thank you for your concern. Luckily, nobody's hurt. Me and my, safe ones, we are all here at the side of the road. I only have a flat tire, which is not necessarily the, the worst thing that could happen to your car, right? And then the bot is saying, glad to hear you and your loved ones are safe. To order your assistance truck, please enter your customer number. Again, you can see it's kind of the same steps in order of the conversation, but it's just way more lovely to talk to the bot because it is aware of what you're doing. It still needs to ask for the customer number in order to help, by also explaining why I would need this information in that exact same moment. But the customer is just really, more keen on sharing that information after they had this first nice small talk. Okay, number 2. Top 1, good practices. What I've also seen in the past a lot is learn from actual conversations your customers are having. So your customers or your end users, whoever it is, you had a bot, you put it live, you had a lot of, ideally, user acceptance testing, also functional testing, you made it 3 weeks, and now you're live. What usually never happens after this, and this is really the most common mistake, is that people don't look in the analytics, don't look at the actual conversations your customers are now having with the bot. Because you obviously had a lot of, experience in the past on maybe how they talk to your customer service agents, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are talking the same way to your bot. And you should really look into the monitoring, you should really look in the user flows, and then just also adapt on the conversation. The same example I always give, right? You wouldn't have a customer service agent, just having one major training, go live, and then never talk to him again, right? So that would be the result of not training your bot. This is why you should always do it. And I'll probably stop here, because if you don't stop me now, I won't stop talking about it, right? So after we now seen a lot of examples about technology and also design, Stephan's now going to wrap it up with the strategy on conversational AI.
Thanks, Ruth. Yeah, let's give a quick glimpse in what we experience also with our customers in terms of really driving a successful transformation, and not talking about just launching a single bot somewhere, a small one. Just really, we are looking at how can we transform our customer journeys, which is a much broader thing to do. And we just looked into what are the 5 main topics to really be successful. First one is have a holistic strategy. What does that mean? So we talked about, okay, it's about marketing, it's about sales, it's about service. All the departments are involved if you really want to have a differentiated experience for your customer. Usually that's quite often organizational silos. But we need, the customer doesn't care if he's talking to marketing, to sales. He wants to have a unique experience and a bot persona which is consistent across all the departments. So build a holistic strategy and also have a clear understanding of your target picture, what kind of conversations you want to automate fully, which of them only partially, and for which I just had an example. I want to hand over, after I've discovered what the customer wants, to hand over them to a human agent which is specialized in that field. Second, choose the right setup. And as we are talking about transformational things here, the right setup is maybe not a really operational part in a department to build a small bot. It is about have a clear business case, a clear target, and involve the people you need to drive this transformation. Get C-level attention, so bring your C-level colleagues that they support this transformation, because not everything will run smoothly. So there will be decisions you need to take. Third, build on experience. And Ruth mentioned already some examples. That's basically, I guess everybody in the room experienced that already in real life, and I do it myself. You have this kind of bots where you start a conversation and you're stuck somewhere in the process. You have an infinite loop of things, and that's not what you want. Avoid doing these mistakes again, because there is experience out there which can really help you to be more successful right from the beginning. Fourth, select the right use case. And we have seen a lot of nice and sexy use cases here, which are quite interesting. But maybe not the sexiest use case is the best one to start with. So we have seen identification, verification. It's not sexy per se. But to get started with it and bring every of your customers on the voice bot, learn from the conversation, save already time with the first use case for your agents, and reduce waiting time. So just remind, there's no waiting time for the customer. The call is immediately picked up and reacted upon. So, and it already pays usually for the next use case. So you can finance with some savings the next use cases after you have done the first use cases in the best manner. And last but not least, start focused. Start focused based on a clear strategy and a target picture. Do not let distract yourself with, okay, let's do a small piece of a chatbot here and a small one there. Focus on what you want to achieve in the end. And then I can basically nearly guarantee you, you can grow with your success, and you will grow with your success. We have seen a lot of customers, if you did the first steps right, colleagues started immediately approaching them, hey, cool, we have seen there's a lot of customer satisfaction. We have clients where customer satisfaction with virtual agents is even higher than with the human agents. So we have done after-call interviews and really proved that is in that way. And if that's clear and obvious to everybody, they will approach immediately to start expanding your journey and make it a fully cool customer experience in the end. So really start focused, grow with your success. Having wrapped it up, I think hopefully you had a great experience in what's possible, from what kind of use cases are possible, what technology can help with, and how the importance of technology, but also with root and what kind of design choices you should take and you could take to make it even an exceptional experience. I would ask my colleagues to join me on stage. So we still have about 10 minutes, 15 minutes to answer your questions. So we are happy to do so. I just also pick one of the headsets to hear it.
All right, so feel free to, raise your hand, and then the lovely gentleman will approach you, and then we'll take it from there.
Test. Can you hear me? Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for the nice presentation. I think you displayed very well the implementation of implementing generative AI into the different services. But with ChatGPT plugins arising, how high is the probability that you won't have these different interfaces anymore, but these one interface, like an operating system, the ChatGPT interface, and that plugins will actually substitute these different services?
Yeah, it's a great question. A question that we have, of course, also asked ourselves once this came out. And we like to draw a parallel to Amazon Alexa when it came out. Amazon Alexa came out, it was supposed to be the big thing. And then Alexa brought out skills, and everyone started building Alexa skills, and in the end, it didn't really work. Now, of course, you can say, well, ChatGPT, that's different from Alexa, that's much better, and it's true. But the question is also, will large enterprises, take the Allianz Insurances of the world, the Lufthansas of the world, will they trust on an interface they don't control, where they just provide the plugin for their customer communications? I think what they will do, they will trust for it for things like flight search, etc. That's fine. But for the services part, we think this is probably something that enterprises want to keep under their control rather than completely outsource it to a ChatGPT. So that's part one of the answer. Part two of the answer is that OpenAI's ChatGPT was the first large language model to appear and really get a lot of traction, right? There's now others appearing. Anthropic, Google has their models with Bard, etc. And what's really interesting is that because it's a technology that probably everyone in the room and everyone in this whole festival will want to use for something, it has so much traction also in the open source community. And research in the open source community now also shows that you can build large language models at a fraction of the cost that it costs to build ChatGPT, that we believe before long open source alternatives will appear that will actually make the reliance on a singular interface like ChatGPT much less. So we don't see it really as something that will substitute this, because then we could also say, well, why don't you already do it through Google, where you can also have your little search plugins and whatever, because it's probably two different things. Yeah. We have someone up in the front here. You were going to ask a question, right?
I have just a short question. Is it possible to get the slides afterwards?
We're actually selling the slides. It's
Okay.
200 euros, but
Okay, that's cheap.
we
Okay.
donate half of it to charity. I don't know the answer.
Is there a possibility?
No, basically the whole presentation will be available online to watch.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And in any case, you just can contact us.
Okay, thank you.
And if you want the Cognigy slides, as long as you have a project we can do with your company, we're happy to share the slides so you can advertise conversational AI in your company as well.
Hello. Yes, thank you very much for your presentation. I would like to try a large language model at home. For example, try to train my own model. I figured out that models are always big. I cannot fit on my computer. My first question is, do you have some suggestion? Which model can I try at home so that I can train it myself and then try it at home? The second question is, how does multimodal model work for you? It is like the same model, take voice and text the same time, or it is two models? Thank you.
Yeah. So let's start with the second question. We have not integrated a multimodal model at this stage. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm doing a lot of research in this area. I'm not sure I have really seen a multimodal model, a singular model that deals with both. You have models that interact with each other. So we don't really have a lot of experience in that. Now, what can you try at home? Kind of depends on your computer, right? Because the inference, well, firstly the training of these models, but also the inference, so the querying of the models heavily depends on your GPU capacity. So rather than trying it at home, I would suggest maybe looking at something like Hugging Face, where you can, for relatively small money, rent a GPU-powered space where you can run these models. That's possibly a better option.
Yeah, it was a really nice demonstration of what we all will be capable of probably for customer service in the future. But there was one aspect where I was not 100% sure whether I could buy into that, and I just want to raise that question to you. And that was the aspect of the conversation in the context of customer service needs to be entertaining. I'm not quite sure. The moment I looked into that chat, you had that comparison, right, left and right. The left one was the more rational one. The right one was the more entertaining one. And I felt it was a bit awkward because it was a bloody bot telling me, oh, I feel so sorry for you. I don't care about the bot feeling sorry for me because it's a bot. So I'm not sure whether this is really the direction we need to go into. Well, maybe you have some evidence where you already have seen that, and I'm wrong. I'm open to that, but I just would like to raise the question whether it's really the case or whether this is more for demonstration reasons and purposes.
Love that question. You must have probably talked to my engineers then. So definitely some evidence there. So if you would proactively reach out to a customer by asking them, well, do you want to have, smileys in a conversation? Do you want to actually have some fun within the conversation? A lot of the people would say, same as you, well, I don't need it. I obviously just want to talk to my insurer. I just want to have my claim, and that's it, right? And then we get to the psychological facts, right? So same as for a website. If you would ask me, well, do you need a nicely designed website for your insurer? I would probably say, no. Well, I just need, my contacts, and that's it. Turns out, if you have a nice design, look at Apple.com. There's a reason for why they're spilling millions on UX design. is that it psychologically gets you to stay longer on the website, stay longer, you know, even maybe purchase something. And same when it comes to conversational AI. So people will tend to stay longer in your conversations. They will actually be persuaded even to maybe even, you know, sell something via the bot and actually get whatever request they had in the first place get done within the bot. If you don't have that design, agents, customers are more likely to step out throughout the conversations because they will actually not trust the bot because it's not humane-like. And they will try to, you know, whatever they need to type in to get to an agent, they will try to do because they just don't trust the whole thing. But it's something that is, you know, I would say a bit more subtle. So if you don't really proactively mention it, but it is really something that you need to, you know, have along the lines. But yes, if you would ask somebody, they would probably say no. And then turns out, if you look into the analytics step, you know, or number one of my learnings, you will see that users will stay longer in the conversation and actually will solve their request. Okay. Any more questions? I think I've seen a raised hand here. Is there somebody?
Hi, so it was actually quite the same as before, but for me, there's the question, when is too much context, you know, because we also seen when using our chat that, you know, the text gets really long and we all know that people don't really, or they at one point stop to read, so where's, you know, kind of to find that perfect point between context and too much text?
Yes, definitely. So there's one easy rule. Users should never scroll within the conversation, right? So if it's a chatbot, they should never, like, you know, have an answer from the bot and then they need to actually scroll up in order to see the beginning of the text. That is rule one. Of course, depends a bit on the size of your chat window, basically. When it comes to voice, you even need to be a bit more sharp because, as you said before, and this is maybe due to, I don't know, TikTok, people don't really listen anymore, right? So you need to be as short as possible in order to get the information across. And if you're listening, it's even harder to comprehend for your user, basically. So there's, you know, if you're, for example, making or giving the customer the choice within the voice bot, it should be maximum 3. So never have more than 3 options. And if we're looking at a lot of IVRs that we're already having out there, there's like 3+. We're talking probably about like 9 options to click. And when you're at option 8, the user already forgot what was number 1, right? So this is, I mean, kind of the guideline, but of course you always need to, you know, deep dive a bit more in the design.
It's actually a great use case for generative AI as well. So one of the things that wasn't mentioned here on the slides, but that is really becoming a super hot topic, is knowledge search through generative AI. Because when your bot gives a really long answer, so all these bots out there that give a really long answer, the reason is because the company has defined a number of FAQs. And now you ask the question, what are the maximum dimensions for carry-on luggage? And it finds the carry-on luggage FAQ intent and it just blurts out the whole thing. Yeah, it's like how heavy it has to be, what the dimensions are, what things not to pack, but that wasn't your question, right? But now you can use generative AI where you retrieve the FAQ answer, may it be through LLM-powered search or through a regular search or whatever it is, and then you pop in the customer's question, and then you say, please formulate an answer to the question based on this article, which, by the way, also helps dramatically with the hallucinations. And then the answer is, the maximum dimensions for carry-on luggage are blah, and that's it, right? So generative AI has the great capability to pick out the exact information that is the answer to the question, rather than having this massive blurb of text there that, as you quite rightly point out, no one really reads, right?
Hi, thanks again. It was a fantastic talk until now. Just a quick question. How do you differentiate between empathic, appropriate approaches and more functional approaches? Or do you differentiate there at all? The question of appropriateness. Wait, a little bit before, should I be emotional? And now you just said, like, we can break down long text into short answer. This is contrary to being empathic. So somehow I need to have a trade-off at some point. I have to make a decision. Should I be empathic now or should I be focused? How do you do that?
I actually don't think that it's contradictory. So let's take this example. Someone says, can I bring my bellow on the plane? Yeah, of course, by the way, regular FAQ searches probably wouldn't find anything. LLM search will find that, okay, this is most likely about a dog. And then the answer is, yes, you can bring him on the plane. Right? Or maybe the question is not, can I bring bellow on the plane? Maybe the question is, can I bring bellow on the plane he's always so scared in the dark. Yeah? And then it would find the big blurb about pets on the plane. And this is a real life example because we've actually tried it last week with an airline. And the answer would be yes, you can bring Bello on the plane, or you can bring your Bello on the plane. If he is between X and Y centimeters, he can travel with you in the cabin, so he doesn't need to be scared. But even if not, the storage for animals or whatever they call it, maybe that doesn't sound too empathetic, right? But the place where your Bello can then travel in the whatever, it's also has a lot of light, and we provide water for animals or something like this, right? So you can still extract the information, but contextualize it in a highly empathetic way that will still not require you to read through this whole big blurb, which, by the way, is probably not empathetic at all, right? And to your point, you say you just want the answer quickly, and it's true, right? But you should see in our statistics how many people say thank you to the bot, which in your logic would be completely irrelevant, because it is irrelevant, but a very large percentage of people actually do that. And I think they leave with a better feeling, rather than once you say thank you, the bot saying, sorry, I don't understand that, right? So I think it is important.
All right, last answer to your question. Thank you so much. So because you asked how do we make decisions, well, data-based, right? So at the end of the day, of course, you design something proactively, but then again, you should look into, your monitoring solutions, your analytics, and then you should, have a proper A/B testing out there and just see whatever message works better, and then you should design for that one. Okay. Looking at the time, and I know there might be some questions still around, so of course happy to take them afterwards, not just to us, by the way, but also to the lovely colleagues here to my left. Thank you so much for listening in, and we really appreciated a lot of the questions. So first of all, yeah, thank you to that, and then of course enjoy not just the festival, but also probably the after parties, right? Thank you so much.